All right. Well, welcome everybody. Can you believe we're already at number 30 of these webinars? But tonight we're going to be talking about FasTract and getting things up to speed. And as you all know, I absolutely love empowering people through education to take charge of their health. So I'm glad that you're going to join me on tonight's journey. We're going to start right out of the bat with a testimony directly tied to a client that I had and we had been working with for several years. And this client happened to come see me right after we had gotten the FasTract. And her husband had been dealing with Parkinson's for years and slowly deteriorating. She'd been able to do a good job, and she was phenomenal, following through with different alternative means, but they were still struggling in the area of regular and easy bowel elimination for him. She had added in the ProBio 2 months previous. And then when I had seen her, I talked to her about using the FasTract, and she bought a bottle. And the awesome thing was she stopped by just 1 week later to let me know that the combination of the FasTract and the ProBioIQ was working so well that they were able to pull all the other products that they in the nursing home had been using. This was huge because part of the issue for him had been these bowel issues, like I said, for years. And they had massive amounts of other types of supplements that they were using, plus the nursing home was throwing things, and they just were not getting results. So true testament to the power of that combination of the ProBioIQ and the FasTract to be able to take him off of all those other products and just rely on those. And they used those for several years. He passed away about a year ago, but they never had any issues again after that with his bowel. So the FasTract even works for people who have that type of a condition that they're dealing with. So let's jump in and let's talk about FasTract. And you can see by the label that it is labeled as a colon activator. And why might that be? Well, we're going to look at some of the individual plants that are in this. We're going to start out with Cascara sagrada, which is also known as sacred bark. That is a name that the natives in the area gave it because they could rely on it to move things out of the system. And if you think about it, and maybe some of you don't remember, or I haven't shared it with you, there is an old joke that circulated through the alternative, stories through the alternative community for years. And basically it was the body parts arguing with each other because they each thought they had played the most important role. So you had the heart arguing with the brain, arguing with the bowel, you get the idea. The end result was the colon told them that he or it trumped all of them, and they all kind of laughed. So the colon said, fine, and it shut down. And it didn't take long till the brain couldn't function well, the lungs were overwhelmed, the heart was working harder, and they all basically said, Uncle, you win. That is the power that the colon exerts over the body and the importance in having the garbage be taken out on a regular basis. Cascara is an herb that is outstanding at doing this. And some of the properties and things that it works with, one is for toxic bowel. And the way the Cascara sagrada works is it does get in and activate the liver and the gallbladder so that we have the bile production, which will cause the bowels to kick into peristalsis. Peristalsis is going to be that gentle squeezing at different intervals to move the material through the bowel. So you can see why they called it sacred bark. So Cascara sagrada is also going to work for congestion. Well, just think about the story I just told you. When that bowel gets overwhelmed and can't keep up, we see things get overwhelmed in the rest of the body, such as lymphatic system. Think about that. Sore throat, they can come up. If we can get congestion, even so far as the lungs and having phlegm in our body and all different places, not only just our throat. Constipation, chronic constipation as well. These are two different things. And it really is amazing to me how the incidence of how many younger children, and I'd say as in ages 12 and under, that I was starting to hear stories or getting new clients because the child was being taken to the emergency room for what ended up becoming an impacted bowel. Well, let's think about the standard American diet, known as the SAD diet. Let's also think about how little so many of us move, and it's even more so now. Even myself, with all the work I'm doing at the computer, I'm getting up every 30 minutes to an hour and getting up and walking around and moving just to keep that blood flow and everything going. But it also stimulates the bowel. But this is so becoming, unfortunately, a chronic issue for so many people. So sluggish gallbladder also can become part of an issue with this, which is another reason that Cascara sagrada is so good. Like I said, it causes it to get in and do its job. And it works because it's a food. It is a food that has impact on these areas. It is not a drug that pushes. So gas, of course, is going to be showing up if we're dealing with the bowel not moving like it should. Straining is going to result in hemorrhoids. Jaundice. So jaundice can show up when the liver gets overwhelmed. So because Cascara is helping and supporting the gallbladder and the liver doing its job with the promoting of the production of bile, then it's lessening the load on the liver so that it can move its toxins out of the body as well. Rolls right into the idea of liver disorders. And then when you're moving the bowel, then that's going to help for parasites to leave as well. And like I've said before, we all end up dealing with parasites. No one is immune from this issue. It just depends on whether or not we've set up a 5-star hotel for them, because we can get parasites from water, walking barefoot, breathing the air, different foods. And the slower bowel transit time we have, or the more backed up we are, if we're not eating 3 meals a day and having 2 to 3 eliminations a day, then we're setting up more of an ideal home for parasites to take up residence. So that's how Cascara sagrada helps work and address the issue of parasites. Holy basil extract, we talked about it last week and how it was in the good vibrations and how it becomes so integral because it's helping elevate the mood and the spirit. And when we have that toxic bowel, or we have the bowel backing up, it does tie in and help create that stinking thinking. It does make it more of a challenge to feel better about our outlook with life. And so bringing that holy basil in to support the body while we're also moving out the colon and emptying out the material that's in there is just going to speed up the process. And we all know that if we feel better, we're going to do a much better job at following through on any type of program or change that we want to do, whether it's at work or for health, anything in life, whatever our commitments are. So we look at this, we've got helping to normalize cortisol levels, which of course deal with stress. It's also reducing oxidative stress, inflammation. You can see how it's tying in with chemo and radiation, helping balance blood sugar. And you can see that all of these issues, if you flip it, so if we've got depression, or if we're having inflammation, or we're having challenges with our blood sugar, they're all going to be exacerbated when we have a colon that is sluggish. So this is why this is such a great fit in our FasTract formula. Now, aloe vera. So many people are familiar with aloe, but one of the things that makes this combination so spectacular is that we have both the aloe vera gel and whole leaf aloe vera in it. So Russians refer to aloe vera gel as having biogenic stimulators. Otherwise, it contains wound healing agents. So let's think about how we have grown up knowing to reach for that if we have a burn or an injury. Well, when we have acids in the colon, acids irritate areas. So having that aloe vera gel in there, not only is it going to soothe and help to heal that, it also is we're going to look at the properties, but how it stimulates the bowel, but I want you to also be aware that it helps to heal those areas that are irritated. So think of the itises that people can get with the colon, and think of it as benefiting that. And then whole leaf aloe vera, pardon me, is many, many more times stronger and in nutrients, higher in nutrients than the gel. And it's really effective for people that are in debilitated conditions. So now let's look at some of the specific benefits that we can get with using that gel and the whole leaf aloe vera. Aloe vera is high in vitamin C. And it makes sense when you look at how it addresses inflammation and healing so well. It helps to challenge allergy issues. Again, too, if the colon is slowed down and not moving effectively, we can be having inflammation. Pardon me, I swallowed wrong just a minute ago, and end up with allergy-like symptoms. Also, bleeding. Aloe vera is very good for bleeding, and I have run into cases. Even had a person who was brought to me years ago as a young teenager who had been born with ulcerative colitis, which is highly unusual. And so aloe vera is very good for that. Also is a great bowel regulator. We talked about its burns, how it addresses that. Colitis, goodness. Deodorant. So it does help to help the body to smell better. And we all know that the slower the bowel moves, or the more congested, or the more that things have started to break down in there because it's not moving out in a timely fashion, the more it's going to challenge not only on the exit with the smell, but so far as our breath and our skin, how our sweat smells. Aloe vera also helps with digestion and indigestion. It can work with heartburn. And I do know with aloe, because of how it works for ulcerative type conditions too, that people would often use just like a tablespoon or two in a quart of water because it was so soothing and healing. So think about those benefits and how it's coming in the digestive tract. It's very soothing for hemorrhoids. It too has some anti-parasitic properties. And there it is, talking about soothing for the stomach and any type of ulcerated sores. But aloe is, to me, it's very unusual to find the aloe in this type of product. And I really love that we have the aloe in it. And then finally, peptic ulcers. So just think of anything agitated and irritated. And if you think about, honestly, what a lot of people eat, it's not going to break down very well. And especially if it's not moving out in a timely fashion, it's just going to sit there, ferment, get hot, acidic, irritate. That aloe is going to have multiple benefits for us in our system. One of the things that I have always loved is chlorophyll. And there is a combination of 4 different chlorophylls that is in this product, just like is in our vial. And of course, photosynthesis is how the plants harvest the sun's energy, and that's what gives the plants the color green. And this is where we get the chlorophyll from. And chlorophyll has amazing, amazing properties, and it is used a lot when it comes to the health of the bowel and the cell. One of my favorite books has always been this from Bernard Jensen, The Healing Power of Chlorophyll. And I used to always have a handout sitting in my shop, and often I'd use it as a bag stuffer. So I pulled a couple of the different things so far as the chlorophyll that comes directly from this book as to how I felt it was benefiting us in this product. It does help to counteract toxins that are eaten. So even if there is a small amount, its impact is huge. And it helps to counter it because it is alkalinity that is bringing to the table. It is phenomenal at cleaning and deodorizing bowel tissues. And again, when we have had stuff in transit time for too long, it should not smell so bad that you're warning people not to go into that room for, a week because it's so dangerous. Yes, things break down, but it really should not be that type of DEFCON 5 level of odor. And so chlorophyll does help to challenge some of that, to counter it as we're moving that old tissue out. It also helps to purify the liver. I don't think I have it on here, but chlorophyll is actually very similar. There's only one molecule removed from being almost identical to our blood. So it's very good at supporting the health of the blood. And that does also tie in with the liver's ability as to how it removes toxins and the whole process. This is one reason that it's support with the liver, how it helps in hepatitis improvement. And again, itises just means irritation or inflammation of. And so it's talking about an irritation or inflammation of the hepatic system. So all we're doing is supporting, bringing that chlorophyll in and helping that to, again, heal. The body is designed to heal. We give it its proper nutrients, and it will always work towards healing. Chlorophyll helps sores heal faster. Again, we're talking about body odors. It helps to challenge bacteria in wounds. Because it is working with the pH balance, it's going to help keep that bacteria from growing. In fact, I had many people over the years that would come in with issues and having been diagnosed with diverticulitis, which those little pockets get the infection or bacteria that collect in there. And one of the best things you can do, and from that I was always taught, was to bring chlorophyll into that area to help keep that area from getting infected as easily. Well, this very powerful chlorophyll we've got here is what our vital is all made of. So you can see one of the reasons it's so effective for that. Chlorophyll soothes ulcer tissues. It's also going to work with painful hemorrhoids, aiding catarrhal discharges. So old hardened material, toxic material, it helps support the body in getting that out. Also helping with sore throats. I used to have people that had mono. One of the things we would use was chlorophyll. So, and they would gargle with it or just hold it in their mouth, and because of its ability to challenge bacteria. So right again, so even though we're talking about FasTract, realize because we have some of the chlorophyll in the FasTract, we have massive amounts of it in the vital. So you're actually learning benefits of two products right here. And because of that ability to challenge the pH and support the blood in moving the inflammation out, it does help reduce pain. So if you can't tell, I am a big lover of chlorophyll. So there's a couple common questions that I get when it comes to using this formula. One of the first questions is this addictive? And so people are concerned that they will have to take it on a regular basis. Well, honestly, that's going to depend on the health of your colon and whether or not you're getting enough fiber in your diet and how you're doing on your water intake. Now, this is a question that usually is related to the fact that they're not eating well, and if they're not taking something to like the fiber or the FasTract or the things we just talked about, that their colon slows down. Well, it is a multiple prong approach. So is it addictive? No. Is it necessary maybe to help the colon keep moving? Yes. Does it have all the side effects and potential issues that people get when they use a formula that they might get over the counter at a everyday store as opposed to our plant formula? No, it doesn't have those issues. Can I take this as if I'm pregnant? My answer has always been to this, because a lot of people have concerns that they stimulate the bowel, that they will miscarry and lose the baby. And part of this does come from the fact that the bowel can get backed up whenever you're pregnant. And it also comes from how a lot of the folk lore has that if you can take some like cod liver oil or castor oil and stimulate the bowel, that'll help bring about the baby, which is not a way that I recommend doing that. But this is where part of this question comes from. If you are taking fiber and FasTract on a fairly regular basis already in your pregnancy, then generally it's not an issue because the body is already used to those contractions that happen when the bowel starts moving. As always, though, you need to consult with the midwife or the doctor when it comes to something like that. And should you take this on a regular basis? Well, I was trying to figure out a really good way to demonstrate the answer to this. And so bear with me. Hopefully this will make sense. And so what I came up with was the idea of what I'm calling a tale of two balloons. So we have right here the balloon that has obviously been blown up, and it held that air for a long time. And as the air seeped out of it, you notice it's stretched out. It doesn't really have form anymore. I couldn't find one without it being tied with a knot on the end, but the thing I'm looking at is how it's wrinkled and stretched out. Then we have what the balloon used to look like, or a balloon that is newer, and maybe it was blown up and released, and it wasn't caused to hold the air over and over again. And so it still has its elasticity. So now let's think of the idea, and if you haven't seen it, I have an example here for you of the little kids' toys where they attach a balloon to it, and it'll make like a race car that'll shoot across the room. So the question is, which of those balloons do you think is best going to be able to help the little car do this? Well, it's going to be the balloon that still has elasticity in it. So you can blow it up and it releases air, and it gives it the motion to move. Whereas the purple balloon, having all been stretched out, yes, it's going to release some air, but it doesn't have the pressure and the strength to pull itself back in. So how does this relate to the bowel? So a normal, healthy bowel, where we've gotten good fiber, have good tone, we have the ability for that peristalsis and that elasticity to squeeze and go in and out and move the material through the body. An area of the colon that maybe is ballooned out, or it is held, that material, and they've been constipated, so it's been stretched for a longer time, it doesn't have the ability to empty as efficiently or effectively. So this is why sometimes people will have to take the FasTract longer, because they actually have to, in essence, send their bowel to the gym. It has to have the opportunity or the help to build those muscles and that strength back up so it can constrict and then release, constrict and release, also known as peristalsis. And so this is why it's not that they're relying on it. They are, if they're not going to change some of these other things, but this is why that they might have to rely on it and take it more regularly. Ideally, we would want to support that foundation and help it to not have to rely on it as much. So when I was doing the research, it was kind of interesting because a lot of people really love and use the FasTract, but they're not always coming out and saying all the results, but they know it's a valuable product. And so I thought this was great because another indicator that there might be support needed to help the bowel move can be indigestion. And so it's not always that Vertizymes or ProBio is going to solve the issue. We have a perfect testimony here where Wendy used the FasTract and it got the bowel up and moving and the indigestion disappeared. And so keep in mind that things aren't always as they appear, as in indigestion is not always just because we can't break something down. By the way, indigestion can also be because the body doesn't want what you've given it. But again, another way to see how the FasTract worked and the results. And so now I've asked Greg if he would share a little bit of thoughts or added tidbits that he might want to add to this regarding the FasTract. So Greg, do I need to share my screen with you?
Yes, thanks, Val, and hello, everybody. What a great presentation. I've been taught by Val many times on this subject, and I learned 3 or 4 new things. I love the balloon analogy.
Okay.
So yeah, let's see if you can make me, Val, will it let me share screen? Let's see. Yeah, you have to make me co-host too.
You're right, and I know that, and I don't know why I forgot to do it.
Oh, that's okay. Let's see. Oh, I just have a couple things to share. And excited to do it, but I have to find the right start. Oh, this is a good one.
Oh.
Here's a good place to start. That was a while ago.
You're pulling from my old presentation.
Yes, I am. It's still just as true as it was back then. I'm gonna jump though, okay? Remember, this is so you can take your phone out and take a picture, because this is the story Val told. This is the actual story of the colon saying, proving to everybody else I'm the boss. The colon's the boss. Remember she was telling us everybody said, well, we're in charge, and then the colon shut down and they quickly capitulated. There you go. There's the story, the boss story. So I'm just gonna jump to one thing. So there's tons of good stuff in here, but just, you know, commenting a little bit on some of the particulars of the ingredients that Valerie taught us on. I love the way the last 5 or 10 minutes, which you've taught before, but maybe you taught it in a little different way, so it sunk in better for me today, Valerie. I hope one message that I would hope to add to what Valerie said tonight is can we think of FasTract as food for the colon instead of as a laxative? Because it's too easy to think of it as a laxative, and you know, traditional laxatives are the things where you can create a lazy colon and all these, you know, habit forming and things like this, and you won't find it. This is not built that way. The formula, the way she's taught it, is absolutely right on. Not built to be a quick fix. It's built to be a changer and a nourisher, like all the products attempt to be at Solle, and we believe they are. And so it really is, it's blended in a way that will help keep that balloon toned the right way, so we can keep a red balloon and not that stretchy blue one that Valerie was showing. And I can explain the reason why. I mean, some natural substances like Cascara serrata can be processed in a way and altered. And there are some out there you can buy that are Cascara that are just the habit forming, produce a lazy colon. There are some, because they're processed to the point and changed. We have a whole unaltered powder and a special extract, and it's a blend of the two to give enough strength, because we feel like we're weaker in general as a society in movement. So to give it more than just the raw powder, but also keep the natural associations that are in the full raw bark. Keep all of those components in there. That's what I meant to say. Some of those ratios. And that's what I mean by associations. And that's what we have to do. That's the best effort that we can give in any of our extracts, because you still have to try to take what you can from a plant in a dry powder so it can stay and be stable. And so you're still just doing your best to pull everything you can from it, knowing that you're altering it somewhat, you know, from the way it sits in nature. The second thing that I wanted to mention is about the aloe veras. The gel is something special here. The whole leaf, we have it in a couple of things. It's by far, like Valerie said, the most far-reaching in its food for the colon, you know, and lots of other things too, okay? Does so many different things, the whole leaf. The gel is your healer, right? Soothing, healing, protecting mucosal lining, doing other things that Valerie taught us. And I want to just describe it this way. If you were to take one of the I gotta try to figure out what you call it, a leaf of the aloe vera plant, and cut it, and where you're going to put it, you know, if we had the capability of putting it internally inside us and just putting that cut leaf so the gel can touch to that tissue and absorb what it can, and then repeat that 200 times. 200 times. It soaks what it can, you pull it off, you cut it fresh when you stick it on. It soaks what it can, you pull it off, you cut it fresh when you stick it on. If you were to do that 200 times, that's what we've put in the gel. And I know that sounds crazy, but the gel is a 200 times concentrate of the beneficial polysaccharides in the gel, the inner leaf. It's a very expensive ingredient. It was not available up until the year we actually launched this. I love that sometimes we see some advancements. Not all advancements we like. You know, they isolate generally too much. But this one we really liked, and we included it with whole leaf so we wouldn't give up anything of the rest of it. But we wanted a really concentrated healing component to this, believing as we do that most of us have quite a bit of damage there. Or we tend to pretty easily create it. So, and I wish I knew all the reasons why. I know some of them. I've learned some of them from people like Valerie. But I do know that we need that. And so this is something, it is a good daily, depending on our level and our needs. Or it's a good periodically, if not daily, with FasTract. If it really is doing good things for us, we shouldn't be afraid to have it daily and not look at it as a laxative. If we're able to do, periodic because we rotate with other things, great as well, right? But I wanted you to know that about the gel. And the last comment that I wanted to mention was just the prime chlorophyll blend. I've seen a few really wonderful programs for colon health, Valerie and I have over the years, where chlorophyll's been included. Almost always it's one type, and you can have differing amounts of chlorophyll, but not very common for chlorophyll products to be multiple sources. I mean, and the prime chlorophyll blend. The reason for that is that I think I might have mentioned it before, but when you extract chlorophyll, I can just give you the case of alfalfa. The extract that we use is 93% chlorophyll then from the alfalfa, but the other 7% is very concentrated. The other good stuff, minerals, etc., from alfalfa, which happens to be loaded, not like some other plants where there are a few other things, but alfalfa in particular is loaded. So the prime chlorophyll blend is primarily the alfalfa, and then a second type of water-soluble chlorophyll, and then stinging nettle and spinach leaf. And those are the 4 plants, just to jog our memories on that. Because we believe that there are components that are important in all of those. And when we're trying to nourish colon, we're keeping in mind the blood. Valerie already alluded to it, because everything's interrelated, right? And what is going to strengthen and help the blood? I don't know if anything approaches chlorophyll in its fit, and just its fit, like Valerie said. I can't remember, Valerie. I know that in a hemoglobin, is it iron that's in the middle molecule, and that in chlorophyll it's magnesium, but in sodium copper chlorophyll it's simply copper instead of magnesium, and that's the water-soluble version. So I just wanted to say that in the chlorophyll blend, 2 of them are that water-soluble version, and the other 2 are the natural magnesium. So you have the magnesium center, and then you have the copper center. And all of those just have different advantages. And so we believe in the variety and in trying to combine the quality as much as we can in a capsule, so that we can look at this as a builder and something that moves the trains along the track, hence FasTract. I mean, I hope we haven't done a disservice. Maybe people feel afraid that it's going to move it too fast. Well, it's just because almost everybody moves it too slow, I guess, is our belief. And so there you have it. But those are my comments. Most of all, I just wanted to share Valerie. Valerie's, I liked her. Woohoo! But I also just love learning again, round 15 from you about this, because you teach it different every time. You add something every time.
Well, good, because that's my goal, is so that people don't get bored hearing the same thing over and over again. Got to keep the repeat people learning as well. So fantastic. Thank you.
And I have to mention, sorry, Valerie, I know we probably could have put on our label the nature of the gel. We didn't want to really give away our secret. And yet here I am. I tell everybody on the Zooms. Maybe we should stick down there. But I did want you to know it's actually quite something special, that gel. Yeah.
It really is. And this, like Greg says, this has not ever been a product for myself or people that we've found that, they literally they couldn't even make it to the bathroom. I mean, granted, the more we work with the health of our body, the more aware we become. And that is part of the reason too. We know, hey, we've got a chance to find a bathroom that we're comfortable with or whatever. But it's also about listening to your body. So, but the FasTract is an absolute food for the digestive tract, for the liver, for the colon. And you can see why, combined with the Probio IQ, the Veritazymes, the Cinemate, and Vital, how it becomes a great addition to helping move out effectively toxins if needed. I have seen some people, when they start the Vital, because it is so excellent at moving out old catarrh, and now you know one of the reasons why, because of that chlorophyll that's in there. that we've needed to do something like the FasTract or good vibrations to help to move that out. Whereas other people, the chlorophyll and so on, just start moving it out. But again, so the FasTract becomes a great boost to that. So here's our quote for this week. It says, every organ, gland, and cell in the body is affected by the condition of the colon. So no matter what we're eating, not eating, drinking, not drinking, stress, emotions, all of it, it's all truly is impacted by the colon, and is in my strongest belief that we can truly change the health of our body by supporting the healing and the structure of that colon, the foundation, so that the colon can do the job that it's designed to do. So we have now actually covered every single product that Solle has. So now I'm going to be changing things up a little bit. And so with us jumping into the holidays next week, they're coming up on them, our topic is celebrations and the 90-10 rule. So otherwise, how to keep supporting your health while you are going through the holidays, and maybe life, emotion, stress, food is not exactly the same as it normally is, and the benefit that Solle has by having already had that as your regular platform 90% of the time. So hopefully you guys will be able to join